Welcome to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Today is a Degenerate Friday. Did a lot of degenerating, a lot of gambling talk on our morning show. One of those men who is a degenerate gambler, but you wouldn't know it totally because he's definitely led a very successful life as a sports writer, news writer, and food critic. Now the man behind the monster group on Facebook, Let's East South Florida. Mike Mayo joins us each and every Friday to talk a little food and sports. And we have a standing bet with Mike Mayo right now. The Florida Panthers have not won a playoff series since the mid to late 90s, 96, 97, when the Panthers, in their third, year of existence, or fourth year, went to the Stanley Cup Finals. They got swept by the Avalanche. And it's funny, it was a sweep, but it was a classic series. Every game was a war. The last game went to like 2 or 3 overtimes. But the Panthers did not win a game, but they did win multiple series in that run. And then since then, have only been to the playoffs, I think less than a handful of times, and have not won one playoff series. Mike Mayo covered that Panthers team. Mike Mayo's had some issues with Panthers ownership. So Mike Mayo, even though the Panthers were one of the best teams in hockey last year, they just got a weird draw because of the COVID stuff that one of the top 5 teams in hockey faced the defending champion, the top 2 team in hockey in the Lightning, and gave them the toughest series they faced all playoffs, and then the Lightning went on to win back-to-back championships. They are the 2-time defending champion now. Well, the Panthers have been the best team in hockey, or second-best team in hockey, the entire year. They now are still the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and just 4 points back of the Colorado Avalanche, but a lot of people have them as a favorite, as they were great all year, and then went and made 3 great moves right before the trade deadline to really put themselves as the number 1 contender in the East, maybe the number 1 contender for the Stanley Cup. Mike Mayo still believes they won't win a playoff series. Well, Defo and I are firmly against that. We believe they'll go far in the playoffs. So we have a standing bet that the Panthers will for sure win a first-round playoff series. So we talk about that, a little bit of the Dolphins, some of the Miami Heat, and lots of the NCAA Final Four, as Mike Mayo loves to predict games based on what city, what location, what area has the best food. It's serving them pretty well so far. See how it serves them right now as we talk with Mike Mayo on the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Chef DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, and I plan on not eating for a few days before that date at Runway 84 when the Panthers, just roll through the first round of the playoffs, maybe even, going 4-0 and sweeping. And will you bring a broom to Runway 84, Lubie? When Mike Mayo picks up the check, we'll just sweep that thing up and
yes,
hand it right to him. How are you, Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet? We invited Mark Lawrence to the dinner, so that's about 10
I heard
now.
that. I mean, I guess now soon it's going to be pretty much, we're going to have to roll up a VW filled with clowns and everybody that you meet on the street.
It'll be filled with clowns, all right, if our group is going.
We're going to have to, well, first, before we get into this, because we have to kind of put an end to this nonsense, and there's some thoughts from my man Jim Sarney about the parameters of this, it seems to be ever-expanding wager. But
it's only the 3 of us if we lose.
So, okay, before we get into
on
that,
his own ticket, separate check for Sonny.
I just want to say, first of all, it was a little bit jarring today because it was great to see Caitlin Bradar. Always loved hearing her thoughts. Obviously, great insight into the world of thoroughbred racing. Big weekend coming up between the Florida Derby and the Arkansas Derby. But to go from her smiling visage to the professor in back-to-back segments.
Yeah.
It's like really going from a 7-course tasting menu at Le Bernardin to a wet 4-way at Skyline Chili.
You have to go 5-way though. If you're going to go 5-way, Mike.
But the professor, is he like locked up in a dungeon with formaldehyde? Because the way he looks positively ghoulish, and it's just, he brings great stuff, but
material's brilliant.
But to go, again, from seeing the bright and smiling face of Caitlin.
Well, it's a tough transition, Caitlin Brainard, to. It's like Leslie Visser to any other person, male or female, who's manned the sidelines, at an NFL game or an NCAA tournament game. It's going to be a tough act to follow, as it was, and you got the buffer there between the professor.
Yeah.
And your own appearance here with the Mark Lawrence, which, that's a whole nother reality that Mark brings to the table here on the program. We try to bring you the best of all worlds.
All over
That's
the place.
really the key to what we're doing.
Yes.
as an entertainment package here. And, Jack Namer, he does feel like he's a ringmaster of sorts. In fact, you met him. He was wearing a top hat, had a little cane. And he was saying, women and children, step right up to the front here. This is going to be some kind of act.
The other thing I got to say is that I really think this Duke North Carolina matchup in the Final Four is really good for college basketball. So I think
Professor, very strong in his opinion,
and
I'm sure he would love to debate you on that. But all right, you've been using the food angle. You had a major score, man, with St. Peter's. So when they won that game, they were what, 6 or 7-1 on the money line, Mike Mayo, and
no. Last week turned out perfect because the only games I gave out were on the Thursday and Friday games. When on Thursday night's games, you would have made a profit of $340-something, and
Great.
then the Friday night games, when you had the added bonus of both St. Peter's and UM. UM was favorite, but St. Peter's winning on the money line. It was again another big night. The weekend was a wash and just went down the drain for all the food handicapping in the NCAAs. But this week with the Final Four, it's pretty distinct. The first game anyway. I mean, the Villanova-Kansas matchup, food-wise, Philadelphia over Lawrence, Kansas. As much as I like Lawrence, and I have friends there, and I've been there, and there's some good little bistros and whatnot, but it's a rout. I mean, Philadelphia wins in the food department handily, and the fact
other
that
than cheesesteaks, everybody always thinks cheesesteaks, but there must be any number of like really high-end Italian joints there in Philadelphia.
No, there's great Italian food.
Yeah.
There's great everything now. It's a really thriving food scene because what's happened is a lot of the up-and-coming chefs from the New York area that can no longer afford rent or starting a restaurant in New York, or even, it used to be they'd go to Brooklyn or Queens. Now they've been priced out of there. So they're going down to Philly. I've got friends here who go up to Philadelphia because their son's in graduate school up there at Temple, and they go up there, and every week they're raving about finding some new great little restaurant. So it's not just the cheesesteaks and not just the Italian anymore. Philadelphia's come into its own as one of the best food cities in America. So again, getting the 4.5 points, it makes it an easy play. Take the Villanova, take the points, take the handsome Jay Wright, and just run to the bank.
So, and Kansas, I mean, what do they qualify on in terms of food that you would think was indicative of steaks? I mean, what would you say?
Like, are they near Kansas City at all? Can you pretend like barbecue's a thing that they have? Like,
well, first of all, if
Kansas City's in Missouri, man.
Right. If you go to Kansas City,
I guess there is a Kansas City, Kansas.
There's a Kansas. It's one of those bifurcated cities, and that's a big word there. But half of it's in Kansas and half is in Missouri.
That qualifies. Yeah.
The better part of Kansas City, when you go there as a tourist and you're going to be eating anywhere, it's in Missouri, so it doesn't even count as Kansas food.
Oh, okay. All right.
And Kansas, I don't know what you get there. I mean, I think they grow corn. There's some cows.
Have you been to Lawrence there to cover a football game ever in your career?
No. I've been there. I have a friend who works there for the KU alumni magazine and used to work at the Sun Sentinel, Chris Lazzarino. So I've been to Lawrence, and again, it's a good little college town. It's got some funky little bistros, but nothing in the way of. You just can't think. You can't say Lawrence, Kansas, and you think of any particular food item. It's really a bland,
Waffle House.
I was going to say McDonald's.
Yeah,
I believe they have several gas stations that might have some food. I don't know.
And the Jayhawks.
Arby's is big.
Arby's. They must have Arby's.
Has more than 2 cars at the drive-thru.
The only Arby's that has 5 cars.
Nothing of distinction. So again, that game's in the rear view.
All right, so that's
it dovetails perfectly with. I always think Kansas is a choke job, and I thought they were going to choke against UM. It proved me a little bit wrong in that game. They smoked them, but we'll see. Hopefully, Nova will make Kansas fall on its beaks this week. And
where do you weigh in on the
Jayhawks have beaks? I don't even know what a Jayhawk is. What's that?
The Bill Self hairpiece issue. Where do you weigh in on that? Piece or no piece?
It's a piece. And
wow, definitively
he'll fling it at the ref. And maybe if my prediction doesn't come true and they make it to the finals and they end up losing to Duke in the preordained rat face coronation, then he will fling his hairpiece.
I really hope that happens.
I want that so bad.
At Nance, yeah, hit him right in the face.
That would be the best if he just rocks
And Jim Nance,
fuck you,
when the
Nance.
hairpiece hits Nance, he'll say, "Hello, my friend."
That would be great if
With
he
a bunch of hair in his mouth.
shoved it in his mouth.
Which is, not necessarily an image that you necessarily, picture Jim Nance, in other circumstances.
Let's go to the rat hole.
Now, what kind of odds could you get on that, though? See, eventually you'll be able to bet everything, okay? Either on DraftKings or FanDuel or one of these sources. And so you might be able to create your own prop bets where you say, okay, so Ratface is going to win the game on just an onerous call from the referees. I mean, worse than the Argentine tango takedown was with the stewards at Gulfstream Park that year, several years back, which buried the Polyman for many more years after that. And then, and Self takes the hairpiece off, fires it into the crowd, and hits Nance in the face. Now, if you parlayed all those circumstances, what kind of price could you get? Because you will be able to bet that sometime in the future. Maybe not this year.
You probably
Something
get
like
the
that.
same price as you and Mustang actually coming home with any money after this dubious jackpot drawing.
Suicide watch. I'm calling suicide hotlines right
Suicide
now, and I'm
watch.
sorry to take up the time from people that are really considering it, but how am I not a candidate, for just a pure self-sabotaging suicide mission?
It's
going
crazy
back
to
to
me.
Atlantic City with the Mustang.
Have we ascertained the proper odds of how many people are actually involved in this drawing?
You
doesn't
had a
know.
big number.
He doesn't.
I said 2,000 to 1. I said there's at least 2,000 jackpot winners over the first 3 months of
But that's narrows it down, though.
2022 from 3 properties.
But there are 7 drawings,
so
so that makes it like a 300 to 1 prop. Would you play into that? For a piece of 50 grand, let's say it's 10. What's wrong with coming back with another dime?
If your last name was Krzyzewski, I would put you at even money of winning
Exactly.
a jackpot. But right now, I don't know. So
I don't know. I mean, the chances of Mustang hitting on the slot machines again, we'd have to think are Blutarski-esque, no? Right,
0.
so and she's going to step it up because she figures she was a big winner last time. So, like when I hand her 500 for the trip, she's going to look at me like the scene in Goodfellas when Ray Liotta looked at Paul Sorvino and said, "What, 3,200 for a lifetime? Are you kidding me?" I was the big winner last time. I was the one who won.
You're going to get a Jada Pinkett Smith look if you're going to just give her 500.
The eyes rolling, everything. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to slap the casino host and make sure they never offer us free rooms or any accommodations or amenities again. Never, man. I don't even want a free drink.
Before I forget, and before we get into the rat face versus whatever the tar holes matchup, we just have to go back to the parameters of this Panthers first round bet, because Jim Sarney was saying that really it should just be a 1-on-1, considering the cost of the meal involved. I mean, I know you were nice enough to take Lubie and me and Sarney,
but that was Skyline Chili,
right? Where the total tab would equal basically one
person
without alcohol at Runway 84.
No, we can't put you on the hook for thousands.
So what Sarney was saying is that the bet should just be me versus you at Runway 84, and anybody else pays their own way. More the merrier. Anybody wants to come. I mean, I got to
buy Lubie's dinner if I lose.
I want to be in on it, but that's fine. I mean, it is what it is.
I'll buy Lubie's dinner if you lose. Also,
I am willing as a good sport to buy Lubie's dinner, and you should be willing to do the same. So Lubie is the sure thing. Lubie will get a free meal no matter what.
I'm willing to
I believe he gets a pass. Yeah.
So Lubie will get a free meal because that's playing.
No, we can't invite like 20 people on your ticket. We're just kind of
I know it's
all
to
make the circumstances even more prohibitive than they are.
Otherwise, it would have had to be the change in venue, last minute change in venue, if we want to bring along the professor and Marianne and Gilligan and Mark Lawrence and Carlos Frias.
Visser Mamadou,
we will do it.
You don't think Jack wants to come and Amy and the people
at the Wawa or Skyline closest to you, and that would be great.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. No, that's a good proposition. I don't want you going into this game, this first series. Plus, I mean, Michael, I don't want you rooting too hard against the Panthers.
I mean,
they need to win one, please. We need to win one here in South Florida. We have a great team. They're number one in the East by far. I mean, points, many points ahead of Tampa Bay, a dynamite 2-time defending Stanley Cup champion.
You got to remember, we don't know who the first round opponent yet is, and depending on the food angle, it could be something. I might go double or nothing and invite 3 more.
Miami
people.
is strong. Are you kidding me?
I mean, it's strong.
You read that article by Carlos in the Miami Herald talking about like his favorite spots in the old 305, and you and I both know we discuss it every day on your Odyssey radio app show there on WWNN, which is only for winners. Winners Broward County. I mean, you can't even begin. We could talk for hours and hours and not even cover like the smallest of spectrums of Broward County restaurants that all are very, very good.
It's a very strong food scene, but again, we don't know who they're going to be playing in the first round. What happens if you line up against? Sarney was saying that there's a lot of good teams in the in the conference, whatever they call them now. Is it? They still have
I'm not sure. They don't have the Norris and the Boris
and Campbell, East and West.
So East and West conference, the divisions are weird.
He was saying that in the East, there's not going to be many weak teams in terms of. So they could land a tough first round opponent like they did last year. Ended up getting Tampa Bay and
dream on, man.
That worked out.
You're buying. You're buying, man. If it's Lubie and me only, that's fine.
All it'll take is if Sergei Bobrovsky gets one of these stomach viruses like I've been nursing the last 3 days.
But you look better.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Look, I should have finished. I've lost 7 pounds. I've been.
Jesus. Okay.
It's the great.
You're getting back to your fighting weight, which is good, and it's like I said, we're going to be really hungry when we get to runway 84. Libby and I are not going to eat for 48 hours.
I'm really hungry now because I haven't been able to put down solid food since, for 3 days now. I couldn't even. Last night I thought I got a little soup with noodles in.
You've been picking up a lot of weird stuff, though. You thought you had COVID a couple of weeks ago, and now you've got this and that. I mean.
Hypochondriac.
I mean, if I doubted that you were really Jewish with a name like Mayo, I'm beginning to believe now that you have all of the hypochondriac tendencies of, a paranoid, psychotic, Jew.
Well, this is real though. This was a real stomach bug. I mean, at least the weight loss is real, so I'll take that, even if it's in my head. So, all right, let's go to the
all right.
Other
let's go
game.
Duke, Carolina. Yeah. Now, this is a tough one, but you with your expertise in the culinary world, were kind of able to like split, the decision a little bit. No, Chapel Hill.
Like, are they that close to each other?
And Raleigh.
Like, it's not different cities; it's the same city. Like.
No, well, it's called the Triangle, which is this, they call it the Research Triangle, which is the 3 cities that have universities, which is Durham has Duke, Chapel Hill has University of North Carolina, and then Raleigh is actually the biggest city. It's the state capital, has NC State.
Right.
NC State, nowhere near the NCAA tournament this year, but Raleigh is actually the city that has the best food scene. It actually had 3 chefs nominated as semifinalists in the James Beard Awards this year. So if Raleigh was in it, then Raleigh would be the runaway winner, NC State and Jimmy Valvano and all that stuff. But that's long in the past.
Too bad you weren't using that angle on that tournament.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, imagine riding the crest of that underdog wave all the way to the final.
But the reality is Durham and Chapel Hill are very similar in terms of the size of the towns. And, they're all about 15, 20 minutes apart from each other in the triangle. And, similar, Durham, Chapel Hill. I haven't been to either one in a long enough time, so I can't say which one that has the better restaurants or food scene. I gotta weigh them out as a push. It's a tie. And when, tie always goes to the underdog, which in this case, in this game would be Chapel Hill, right? With North Carolina getting 4 points against Rat Face. But here's where I'm going to kind of differ. I'm going to say heads up winner is going to be Duke because of the fixed Rat Face going out a winner in the final angle. And I actually think it's the better story because he's had a rich career and he deserves to make it to the final. You say the best story would be him losing his last game in a final.
No, not in a final. I say the best story would be him getting blown out in this game
by his rival. Okay. But I'm gonna say food angle wise North Carolina, so I'll take the 4. What is it? 4.5, 4 and a hook.
4 and a hook.
Right now. I've seen discrepancies on that.
On the spread, I'll take the Tar Heels getting the 4 and a hook, and on the money line, I'll take the Duke Blue Devils and have them going through to the final, but not giving the points. So does that make any sense?
It's double.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
I'll say Duke's going to win by 2. He's going to win by like
And
free
then
throws
you
at
get
the
both
end on a
wins. Yep.
cheap call.
Bogus
that's what's
call.
gonna
Of
happen.
course
Yeah,
it
for
is.
sure.
They're
Yeah,
going
that's
to happen
gonna
that way. There's
Right.
no doubt
So
about that.
Duke by 2 in regulation, and that way I'll cover with the Tar Heels, and the Ratface makes it to the finals.
No, when the image went up of Ratface during a professor's dissertation, and it was very. I mean, Professor Erwin Corey never had illustrations like this, where you had the actual, dead rat, and the guy's name escapes me now for a second here. The Channel 10 reporter. Then when he shows up here locally at your restaurant,
Jeff Weinzier. Jeff
Weinzier. Yeah.
He's a Hollywood resident. I see him all the time.
How do the restaurant people in town feel about, is it like Mike Wallace showing up in a mechanic shop back in the days when he was on 60 Minutes and, he'd find out that all these transmissions were bogus. And, he goes there, and it was always, some mafia-related, shop where they were also taking action on games, and they put the, hand up to the camera. Is that the way it is with Jeff Weinzier when he shows up?
If Jeff shows up with a camera crew in tow, you're in trouble. If he shows up just by himself with his kid, it means he's coming to eat at your restaurant. I see him around town at like Grandpa's Bakery. He goes in there, and that. But
people would think they were, that he was suspicious that he was really checking for rats, right?
No, they would say if Jeff is eating here, this means it's a clean place.
I was going to say, if he's going there to do a story, then it's bad. But if he's going there to enjoy it, then that means it must be really good because he's a guy that finds all the bad.
Yeah, right. And he's a big fan of Tropical Acres, by the way.
Jeff very nice. Also, well,
he's a member of Let's Eat South Florida. And when somebody was chiming in on the typical Tropical Acres back and forth thread, Jeff chimed in saying he loves the place and he eats there all the time. And I was like, wow, must be clean then. And it is.
Weinzier, I mean, he comes and puts the sticker right on the door himself. I mean, to close the place down. It's great. He just has like one of those, glue brushes and a thing full of Flex Seal, and he puts this place is closed by order of the county commission, sign up there himself. All right, Michael, well, we wish you the best of luck with the stuff. All right, we'll talk to you later on in the day. Odyssey Radio app all around the world.
We didn't even talk Florida Derby. I have no pick. The thing is, before handicapping the race, we have to handicap the weather people because they're saying we're going to get a ton of rain like tonight and tomorrow might be really nasty all during the day, and there might be severe storms moving throughout the afternoon. So I don't know. Do you trust the weathermen because they can be wrong half the time? So it's like
they want to book their action.
First, we got to handicap whether they're going to be right or wrong, and we don't even know if it's going to be a sloppy track or not. And I heard you talking with Kate, and we're going to talk more about the Florida Derby during the lunchbox.
Oh, you're going to give out your pick finally, your secret selection?
I don't have one yet. I mean,
on that show.
Yeah, because I got to start handicapping from mud because if it's a sloppy track, it could change everything. I did like what she said about Captain because as soon as I saw that Rosario was on this 20-1 shot, I said, "What's going on?" So it might be, I might do. I don't know. I got to look at it. We got to see what the mud numbers look like because it might be a sloppy track.
All right. Mike Mayo, he's a man of his word and a man of great honor. And now not a man who's on the hook for a couple of dimes at runway 84 when he pays off on that.
I'll buy a bottle of wine. How about that? Besides your dinner and Lubie's dinner, he'll get a bottle of wine.
I'll wine too. All right, very nice. Very nice.
Now I'm bringing it back up, so it'll be a couple of.
It'll be one.
All right, we'll see what happens.
A couple of sticks. All
right, we'll see you later on in the day. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, ladies and gentlemen.
So that was Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. We didn't talk so much Heat, didn't talk so much Dolphins. We really talked a lot of Panthers, something that isn't a big deal in here in South Florida, and that's sort of why Mike Mayo has his stance. He's had some issues with one of the Panthers' co-owners, Doug Sifu, but also in the last over 2 decades, they have not won a series. So even though they are the most talented they've been, they are the most offensively driven as they've been, while still playing good defense. They're getting really good net minding, both with Knight and Bobrovsky. And they then went and made moves to bolster their team, even though they were already good. Mayo is acting as though nothing has changed. So he's saying that the Panthers will not win a first-round series. Defo and I not only think they'll win a first-round series, we think they're going to contend for the Stanley Cup. If they don't win it, they're going to go deep into the playoffs. So we're just laughing it up, assuming the Panthers will win a first-round series. We will see what happens. We'll definitely keep you posted here. We talked a lot of the Final Four. Mike Mayo, food angle, Carolina, and Villanova. Philadelphia, a really good food town. over Kansas, Lawrence, Kansas, not a food town. Duke and Carolina, both college towns. Food's okay, but Carolina, he said, has a little bit better food scene. So the Tar Heels will prevail over the Blue Devils, and Villanova will prevail over the Kansas Jayhawks to get to the championship game. If you go with the food angle by Mike Mayo, I actually think it'll probably be Duke and Kansas, but I am rooting for Carolina and Villanova. So we'll see what happens Monday. Defo's going to AC. Wish him luck. He was just there. They won big. Got roped into some kind of drawing thing that, of course, they'll go and gamble a lot more and just lose a lot of money and not win the drawing. But we wish him luck. We will enjoy the Final Four, and hopefully you'll be with us Monday as we'll talk lots of things over the weekend, probably touch on the championship game and a little bit more with the Dolphins and the Heat. The Heat did get a big win over the Celtics, sitting there number one in the East. Now the Milwaukee Bucks pulled the game out of their rear over the Brooklyn Nets last night. They were losing, and they should have lost, but they found a way to win. So I think they're a half game back of the Heat, but the Heat still half game up in the Eastern Conference for the number one seed. We'll see where they stand Monday. Check us out every morning from this morning to Monday morning. The Ion channel, The Defo Show with Lubie. Just Google The Defo Show. Get everything we're doing there. Check out our exclusive content podcast on Believe Network. Today we talk with Coach Scott Spinelli, was interim coach for Boston College last year. Was a long-time assistant, many programs for over 2 decades. Talks with us about the Final Four, not from a food angle, from an actual he knows basketball angle. So check that out, maybe to help you pick your plays for the Final Four. And check us out right here, The Defo Show with Lubie, on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa
folks, Tony
on your side?
Here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?